Have you ever wondered why sometimes grass doesn't grow as green and lush as it should? One of the reasons might be soil compaction. Soil compaction, in the simplest of terms, is the process where soil particles are pressed together, reducing the pore spaces between them. This happens when pressure is applied to the soil surface, often due to heavy machinery or livestock. This pressure can lead to a dense, hard layer of soil beneath the surface, known as a pan. In our beautiful grasslands, this can be a real issue. Imagine trying to grow in a concrete-like environment. It's a tough gig, isn't it? That's what grass has to deal with when soil compaction occurs. The pressing together of soil particles can hinder water movement, root penetration, and even limit the availability of essential nutrients. Soil compaction is a serious issue, affecting the health and productivity of grasslands. But what exactly causes it? Several factors contribute to soil compaction in grasslands, and we're going to delve into these causes right now. First off, one of the most common culprits is the use of heavy machinery and high tire pressures. Whether it's tractors, harvesters, or other mechanized equipment, these machines exert substantial pressure on the soil. Continual use over time can compress the soil particles, resulting in a compacted, dense layer that's difficult for roots to penetrate. Next comes overgrazing. When too many livestock are allowed to graze on a field, their repeated trampling can squash the soil, causing a similar effect as heavy machinery. This is particularly problematic in damp conditions, where the soil is already soft and more susceptible to compaction. Another cause is poor soil management. This includes practices such as not rotating crops or allowing fields to lie fallow, which can lead to a buildup of organic matter on the surface. This organic layer can then become compacted over time, especially if it's not periodically broken up or incorporated into the soil. Soil type is also a factor. Some soils, like clay, are more prone to compaction due to their fine particle size and tendency to stick together when wet. On the other hand, sandy soils, with their larger, more loosely arranged particles, are generally less susceptible. Weather conditions can play a role too. Heavy rainfall, for instance, can cause soil particles to settle and compact. Similarly, cycles of freezing and thawing can lead to compaction, as the freezing process squeezes air out of the soil, and the thawing process doesn't necessarily allow it to return. Lastly, it's worth noting that compaction can also occur naturally over time, due to the weight of the soil itself. This is particularly true for deeper soil layers, which bear the weight of all the soil above them. It's clear that many factors can lead to compaction, but how does this affect the soil's ability to drain water? That's what we'll be exploring in the next scene. So stay tuned as we continue our journey into the world of grassland compaction. Proper soil drainage is crucial for healthy grass growth, but compaction can seriously affect this. Let's dive into the world beneath our feet to understand this better. When soil compacts, it essentially squeezes the particles closer together. This reduces the space between them, also known as pore space. These pores are vital for soil health as they allow water to seep through the soil layers, providing much-needed moisture to the grass roots. However, when compaction occurs, it reduces the soil's permeability. Simply put, it becomes harder for water to pass through. This can lead to waterlogged conditions. Picture a sponge squeezed tight. It can't soak up water as well as it could when it was fluffy and full of air spaces, right? That's exactly what happens to compacted soil. Waterlogging is more than just a nuisance. It can be detrimental to grass growth. The waterlogged soil deprives grass roots of oxygen, leading to nutrient deficiency and stunted growth. It's like trying to breathe with a heavy weight on your chest. Not a pleasant thought, is it? Moreover, when water can't drain properly, it can lead to other problems like soil erosion and nutrient runoff. This can further deplete the soil's fertility, creating a domino effect of issues for grass growth. So you see, soil compaction isn't just about the soil getting a bit harder. It's a multifaceted issue that affects every aspect of soil health and grass growth. Compaction's impact doesn't stop at drainage issues. It also affects nutrient availability in the soil. Healthy grass needs a variety of nutrients, but compaction can hinder their availability. Now imagine a bustling city with crowded streets. That's somewhat like compacted soil. It's packed so tightly that there's little room for the nutrients to move around. Soil compaction decreases the pore space within the soil. These pores are crucial because they hold air and water, both of which are essential for nutrient transportation. In a compacted soil, fewer pores mean less water and air, and this results in poor nutrient transportation. Now let's think about the roots. They're like the grass's hands, reaching out and grabbing the nutrients they need. But when the soil is compacted, it's like the hands are tied. The roots struggle to penetrate the hard-packed soil. This not only limits their growth, but also their ability to access those vital nutrients. Moreover, the decreased pore space also affects the soil's ability to host beneficial microbes. These tiny critters play a significant role in breaking down organic matter and making nutrients available for the grass. But in a compacted environment, their numbers dwindle, and the nutrient cycle gets disrupted. So, you see, the knock-on effect of compaction on nutrient availability is quite significant. It's a domino effect, starting with reduced pore space, leading to hindered root growth and microbial activity, and finally resulting in poor nutrient availability. Without proper nutrients, grass root development suffers as well. So, it's clear that managing soil compaction is crucial to ensure the grass gets all the nutrients it needs for healthy growth. The roots of grass plants are their lifeline. They draw up water and nutrients from the soil, but compaction can stifle this process. Let's delve into this. Imagine roots as straws, sipping up vital sustenance from the soil. They need space to expand and grow, to reach those nutrients and moisture. Now, compaction is like a tight squeeze on those straws, making it harder for roots to do their job. When soil particles are squeezed together, the pores or spaces between them are reduced. This limits the room available for roots to grow. As a result, the roots become shallow and weak. They can't anchor the plant firmly, making it vulnerable to wind, drought, and disease. But the impact doesn't stop there. Compacted soils also limit the movement of water and air. Roots need oxygen to breathe, just like us. In compacted soils, the lack of space makes it harder for air and water to move around, leading to waterlogged, oxygen-starved roots. And here's where it gets particularly challenging. Compaction doesn't just affect root development, it also impacts grass yield. When roots can't draw up enough water and nutrients, the plant's growth is stunted. Over time, this leads to a reduction in grass yield, which is a significant concern for our farmers. You see, grass isn't just a plant, it's the foundation of our agricultural system. It's the primary food source for grazing animals like cows and sheep. A decrease in grass yield can lead to less food for these animals, affecting meat and milk production. But it's not just about quantity. Quality matters too. Grass from compacted soils can have lower nutritional value. That's because the plant's inability to absorb nutrients from the soil can lead to nutrient deficiencies, affecting the quality of the grass. Reduced yields are a major concern, but don't worry, there are methods to manage soil compaction. We'll explore these methods in the next segment, so stay tuned. Remember, understanding the problem is the first step towards a solution. Soil compaction is a problem, but it's not insurmountable. Several methods can help alleviate it. In fact, there are a few tried and true techniques that can effectively combat this issue. The first method is aeration. This technique involves perforating the soil with small holes to allow air, water, and nutrients to penetrate the grass roots. This helps the roots grow deeply and produce a stronger, more vigorous grass growth. The main reason for aerating is to alleviate soil compaction. Over time, your field can become so compacted that it's difficult for grass to root, and it can prevent water, nutrients, and air from reaching the soil. Aeration can be done with a mechanical aerator for larger fields. Next up is subsoiling. This practice breaks up compacted layers deep within the soil profile, encouraging deeper root growth and better water infiltration. Subsoiling can be particularly effective in heavy clay soils or in fields that have been heavily trafficked. It's important to note, however, that this method should be used judiciously and should only be carried out in dry conditions. Overdoing it could lead to a breakdown of soil structure and an increase in erosion. Finally, there's the option of moving to controlled traffic farming. This system confines all machinery loads to the least possible area of permanent traffic lanes. The result? A significant reduction in soil compaction in the main growing areas of the field. By limiting the areas where heavy machinery travels, you can maintain the structural integrity of the soil and promote better grass growth. Each of these methods has its pros and cons, and the best choice will depend on your specific situation. It's always a good idea to consult with a soil fertility expert to determine the most effective strategy for your particular grassland. Addressing compaction is crucial for maintaining productive grasslands. Remember, the health of our grasslands depends on the health of our soil.